Good morning. Welcome to today's lesson, still about integers. You've probably heard me say this 100 times by now. Integers, positive and negative, whole numbers. Infinite amount of integers, positive and negative whole numbers. Today we are going to practice multiplying and dividing them. If we were going to draw pictures representing these three scenarios, 5 times 2 has been something you've practiced since 3rd grade, and what that actually means is 5 groups of 2 items. Five groups of 2 x's is going to equal 10. Similarly to that, the second example would mean 5 groups of negative 2. So then, altogether, we would have negative 10. The last one gets a little bit weird for a negative times a negative. If we ignore this for just a minute, it still means 5 groups of negative 2. Still negative 10. 5 groups of negative 2 is negative 10. But there was this extra negative out in front. So now we're back to that lesson from Tuesday where I can't not eat lunch today. That's actually a positive. That actually means you can eat lunch today. Same thing for math, a double negative. A negative, negative 10 is actually just big plus, positive 10. So that brings us to our rules for multiplying integers. If you have not got out your notes already, that was silly. Please find your notes so we can write down the rules for multiplying integers. Pause the video if you need some time to get organized. Way back in 3rd grade when you started learning multiplication, a positive times a positive, still a positive. On this 3rd example back here, we just realized a negative times a negative will also give us a positive. That double negative in multiplying turns into a positive. And then the third option when you have one of each, a positive and a negative, you will get a negative answer. And actually, these two can be in any order. If the negative is first and the positive is second, you will still get a negative answer. If you need more time to write that down, please pause the video. On my notes, this is where I like to draw boxes so that I have some room to solve these three. Please pause and solve, noticing they are all multiplying, so I should be going left to right. Start on the left. 4 times 8 is 32. A negative times a positive is a negative. Remember, if the number is smushed against the parenthesis, that means multiply. Put your own dot in there if you would like. 32 times 2 is 64. A negative times a negative stays a positive. Positive times a negative is a negative. Oh no, I do not know 18 times 5. I'm going to need a side problem for that. Negative times a positive is a negative. Start on the left. Oh no, I do not know 14 times 7. A negative times a negative is a positive. Oh, anything times 0, 0. We're going to find some of the very same patterns when we talk about negative. 10 items. 10 chickens, 10 M&Ms, 10 bananas, 10 positive signs, broken into 2 groups. Five in each group. There was no possible way to get a negative answer out of that. In this second one, I have 10 negatives. Broken into 2 groups. What's in each group? 5 negatives in each group. Just like on multiplying, if I ignore this beginning part, I'm going to end up with the opposite of a negative or a double negative, which is really just big plus positive 5. We have the same rules to write down for dividing integers. Pause if you're going to need more time here. If I'm writing faster than you, pause is your friend. This is probably the trickiest one. This double negative turns out to be a positive. And then whenever you are dividing one of each, and it could be in either order, the positive or the negative could be first, you will end up with a negative answer. Again, I like to draw boxes or something to separate. Here are my examples that I'm going to do next. You probably need to pause the video so you can solve. On these problems, I'll need to do the left side and the right side and then figure out if I will need a greater than or a less than or an equal to. On the right, I see a negative times a negative, and I remember a double negative is going to give me a positive answer. On the right, oh, I see those bars. What are those called? What are those called? Oh, absolute value. What does absolute value mean? Oh, how far from 0 is negative 10? So I can cross this out. Negative 10 is 10 spots from 0. 10 times 10. Equal. Second one. 121 divided by negative 11. A positive divided by a negative is a negative. On the right, a negative divided by a negative is a positive. Ooh, I don't know how many 6s fit into 45. Six times 8 is 48. That's too big. 6 times 7. If you remember, you would then add a decimal. 6 fits into 30 5 times. And a negative times a negative is a positive. Negative 11 is less than 7.5. Last one. Negative times a positive is a negative 6. A positive times a negative, divided by, is a negative. And then you have to remember that very tricky thing. If they're both negative, whatever is closer to 0 is bigger. So now you are ready to solve some multiplying and dividing integers problems from the book. Once you do that and click submit, you are done with math for today. Have a good one. Bye.